Watch us make bimbo as easy as pie. D-I-D-I-D-I. We are tough, you bet, filled with college pep. Bring him on, we cry. D-I-D-I-D-I. B-I-M-B-O. Bimbo.
Mystic order of the
Boom-boom-a-hatcha, 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 boom-boom-a-hatcha.
Wanna be a member? Wanna be a member?
No. There's the way out. Oh.
Wanna be a member? Wanna be a member?
No. Ouch! Oh, yeah, come on. Oh.
Wanna be a member? Wanna be a member?
No. Oh. In there.
Hello, May. I've got a bone to pick with you.
No. Ouch! Oh. Uh-huh.
Come inside, big boy.
What a pippin'. Oh, dear.
Gulp.
No!
Wanna be a member?
Yes. There's a little queen on the animated screen. Wait till you get a view of sweet Betty. Made of pen and ink, she can win you with a wink. Wait till you get a view of sweet Betty. Those eyes, that pretty nose, and oh, aside from this, she's got so much of those. If you want to see just a perfect little she, wait till you get a view of sweet Betty.
All ready, the big show starts off immediately. Oh, get on, Mr. the Red Wagon. Oh. Introducing Miss Jenny in her death-defying high dive into a bowl of soup. Give the little girl a big hand. Are you ready?
Oh, oh, ouch! Who touched me? Oh, oh, oh.
Peanut, peanut, peanut.
Louder than yours.
pardon me. You dropped your handkerchief.
Thanks.
Peanuts! 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 Peanuts!
I'll have them peanuts.
Oh, I have no peanuts.
And now, Betty on the high wire.
There's the moon, way up high. Here are you and here am I. Oh, do something. Boo-boo-ba-doo. It's been told and explained that nothing tried is nothing gained. Oh, come on, honey, do something. Boo-boo-ba-doo. At the time and the place and the time I know. I got a bench and a park and a park and a bench and poo-poo-ba-doo. Sitting down, it seems so dumb. Hurry, dear, I'm getting numb. Oh, do, poo-ba-doo-ba-doo-ba-doo, poo-poo-ba-doo.
I think I'll wait here. Ah, me beauty, at last.
Stop!
Do you like your job? Well, I think if I were you, I'd go so you better come out with me tonight. Have some dinner.
You mean?
No! There'll be no more boo-boo-ba-doo out of you!
You can feed me bread and water, or a great big bale of hay. Oh, but don't take my boo-boo-ba-doo away. You can say my voice is awful, or my songs are too risque. Oh, but don't take my boo-boo-ba-doo away.
Come on, no, I got you, my beauty.
I'll save you.
Stay out! Take that and that! Yeah.
Say,
No! He couldn't take my boo-boo-ba-doo away.
Sorry everybody, just had to calibrate my microphone before turning it on because I didn't want to blow out anyone's eardrums or be silent as a mouse. You know. You know how it is. These things happen. Doo-ba-doo-da-da. Alright, get our headphones on and then we'll get our guest who is ready and waiting. Very patiently, I might add. So, it's like everyone's all set to go. In fact, even me, I'm pretty ready. I guess I'll go ahead and set that up. Capture? Oh, wait a minute. Ah, yeah, that might do it. Woo! All right, I'm gonna start the call just a second. So let me turn off the noises of the, okay. And I'm gonna call. Do 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 do. If anything looked weird up there, it's because my keybinds are standard keyboard buttons, which yeah, it happens. It's the pause. It's the keyboard and the pause and the stop buttons for the video player that are using these functions. All right. Oh. Ooh. Hello indeed. All right, let me just go. Not entirely sure why you're trying to share your camera. Yeah. It's like, that was weird. Options, let's go ahead. So I'm gonna go ahead. What? Oh, what? Where'd you? No. Yeah, you disappeared while I was trying to edit your dog. So I gotta have you sitting here so I can swap out the art. Yeah, just take care of that. I think that one. Okay. And then I'll go ahead and choose, I believe it's that one. And save. Now let me just go ahead and double check before bringing you in here. Go ahead and say words at me. All right. All right. And there you are. The dog man has arrived. All right. Well, without beating around the bush any longer, we're going to go ahead and officially get these parties started. And as soon as I pull the chat up because it's hidden behind the browser window again. You can't hear him. God damn it. Discord audio capture. Fuck. Okay, hang on. Can I refresh? Go ahead and say something now. I don't. No, but it certainly is a stubborn piece of poo that doesn't want to share. Okay, let me try deleting these extra executables and see if that works. All right. Let me try this. Okay. That didn't work. All right. Let's see. Nope. This is so stupid. I can't delete the executable, then add the executable. So remove that executable. And now let's see. Yes! Okay, now we've got the audio capture set. All right. Now
Are you sure about that?
Absolutely. Yep. And now we can begin the proceedings properly. In 3, 2, 1. And a great big hey howdy hey to all you goofy goobers out there. Welcome back to Animanic Commentaries with Comic Ozzy.
And me, WaggToon.
Yep, and tonight...
Did I get that late? I think I got that late.
It's all right. And tonight, it's 20 years to the day when the SpongeBob SquarePants movie had released in theaters. Feel old yet? Oh, God.
I felt old long before today.
Now, this is actually something really interesting because... if anything I've said about my past and history with Nickelodeon cartoons, I've said anything on any live streams has been, it might surprise you to know that I do actually have a history of this movie from when I was younger, because, like, I didn't watch a lot of the proper Nicktoons growing up. Mostly it was Blue's Clues and Dora and all the Nick Jr. stuff, but I did see this movie at a sleepover, and yeah, I think I took a liking to it back then. Didn't know quite what to make of it, but now as an adult with a much larger appreciation for SpongeBob, yeah, this movie is a lot of fun. Definitely up there with, like, top favorite cartoon movies. What about you? What about you, Wag? What's your story with this movie?
Well, for me, like, it was kind of the opposite of you, because I was, like, definitely a Nickelodeon kid growing up. Definitely my favorite was SpongeBob SquarePants. And I still remember there are so many memories I have connected with this movie. Like, I specifically remember when I was watching the Kids' Choice Awards that year, and that was where they premiered the trailer for the movie. I remember specifically before they premiered the trailer, they had, like, a special spot with Plankton showing up, and he was like, I'm gonna do the most ultimate plan and to, like, steal the Krabby Patty. Like, he was really hyping something up. And then later on, there was a commercial break, and you'd see that teaser trailer where it's like, you'll be asked to answer the ultimate question. Who lives in a pineapple under the sea? And then they announced the SpongeBob SquarePants movie. And, like, I was, like, remember vibrating on the seat and, like, jumping up and down, like, so excited that there was going to be a movie. And, like, I still have the tickets to when, like, my dad took me to see it when I was just a little lad.
Damn, that's awesome. But yeah, so
like,
you definitely have.
And I personally think that this is, like, certainly, like, one of the best SpongeBob movies, and certainly one of the best SpongeBob movies. The best SpongeBob movie, I should say, and possibly the best movie based on a TV show overall.
I definitely say, like, when you think about, that's a very interesting point, because when you think about a lot of movies based on TV shows and cartoons, it's like they don't tend to be all that great, with, like, maybe a handful of exceptions. Like, your mileage may vary, but, like, if you are a fan of South Park, I've been told and have watched the movie that that's a good film based on a TV production, and you know that's true. The Simpsons movie has its moments. It's a little weird, but it's another one that's definitely held in high regard as movies based on cartoons that's actually good. But yeah, I definitely say you're right. SpongeBob is the cornerstone for like movies based on cartoons. Like it actually. It both feels like an extended episode, but also like this story could only be a theatrical movie with just how big it is, you know?
Yeah, well, I think like the problem with TV movies based on TV shows is that they either they are a good movie, but they don't match the series, or it's a good representation of the series, but it doesn't really feel like a proper movie. And I feel like SpongeBob, the first SpongeBob movie is a pretty good balance where, you know, it feels like a proper representation of SpongeBob SquarePants, but at the same time, it feels like a movie.
Which is why we shouldn't beat around the bush any longer. Everyone gets set for synchronization. SpongeBob SquarePants. Get your copy set for synchronization. SpongeBob SquarePants. As we are ready to begin our watch party tonight. So follow along with the blurry images on screen as we begin in a capital 3, 2, 25. And let's go ahead and start this bad boy. I'll go ahead and stir up the subtitles. It's very silent to start out. The Paramount is. I think we get a much better.
I always thought this logo was kind of spooky.
This Nick Movies logo?
No, I was talking about the Paramount logo.
I think it's just with it having. I think it's just when it has no music. Anything can be a little off-putting. And this tone setter, probably, if we just think of like in terms of what would probably be at least. Leighton Hillenberg's childhood definitely matches the tone of something like Muppet Treasure Island, but also this was a year or two after Pirates of the Caribbean: Curse of the Black Pearl came out, so
yeah, it matched perfectly.
It kind of fits in that vibe. It's like
okay, a bit of interesting trivia about this opening in particular. You may notice that there's a certain pirate who comes out, and this was originally supposed to be Patchy the Pirate. Patchy the Pirate was supposed to be, like, the leader of these pirates in the movie, but Paramount, for some reason, didn't want to use him. I think they were worried about, like, because Patchy's whole bit is that, you know, he's kind of cheap and corny, and, like, Paramount was like, we don't want this movie to seem cheap. So they went with this guy, who's clearly based on...
I kind of agree, because it really is such a... It's like, if you had Patchy come out, it wouldn't be as properly jarring, and that's what's so hilarious, is that these pirates play up their whole gimmick straight, and they're also big fans of SpongeBob. Was this what the One Piece was the whole time? Thank you, squad. But yeah, it's like, and that's definitely, if not the original prop, but that is definitely identically to the fish from the intro.
And, you know, as I was saying, the leader of the pirates here is obviously based on the painting scene in the opening.
Absolutely, yeah.
So there was that kind of familiarity where you're...
Painty the pirate, yeah.
Yeah, where you're like, oh, this is what he looks like. Below the, you know, he's not just a painting of a head.
Yeah. Also, for CGI water, that's not too bad. Like,
better than the CGI water in the modern show.
It definitely counts to, like, I mean, it's nowhere near like, oh shit, I am so sorry.
Oh no.
Oh, that really upsets the synchronization. Okay. I am so sorry. All right, everybody. You know what? I'll do some clever editing, but everyone just sync yourself up back at the movie theater screen, and you'll be able to line up a little better. I'd say this is
Being
actually
silent
pretty good
until-
CGI water. You know, compared to like, I mean, it's nothing like, I think like, Finding Nemo either came out the same year or the year before and looked like incredible.
It was the same year, and Shark Tale also came out this year. Like 2004 was the year of underwater movies.
Yeah, that is true. That is definitely true. There were a lot.
Okay, I could have. There's an edit coming up that always bugged me as a kid on video release because I could have sworn in the original theatrical cut, SpongeBob asks Mr. Krabs, "So what went wrong?" Like there, but they edited it out in the home media release, and I'm like, was that edit always there, or was it like some just Mandela effect? Because I know that line is in the video game.
Then in all likelihood, it was like, because I remember that sometimes you'll have a release of a movie and then they'll cut things just for, like, because sometimes they'll resend the movie to people. I remember seeing like Hotel Transylvania 2 in theaters, and they definitely cut the whole like diabetes joke when they brought it to home video.
Interestingly, when the Rugrats movie first aired on TV, that version is actually longer than the theatrical cut.
How wild is that?
Yeah, that's weird. They actually added in deleted scenes for the TV version that you won't find on home media.
I mean, you'll find that for some movies. If you ever watch, like, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, there is actually a bit where they're on a plane, but those scenes are only in the TV edit. But I think it's a pretty good point to mention, like, everyone take a shot. Calendar torn.
Yeah, calendar.
Yep. Now, I don't think 374 actually... Does 374 line up with, like, the number of 11-minute SpongeBob episodes? Like, or, like, the number of episodes for the show? Because I
don't think it did at that point.
I feel like...
Also, if...
The number might have had some significance, but, you know, could be wrong.
Well,
sometimes they like doing little meta stuff like that.
Count all of the months, then this means that SpongeBob has been working at the Krusty Krab for 31 years at this point.
You know, true.
Like, so it's best not to think about it too often.
Probably not.
I love this gag here.
Yeah.
Forgot to mention is that this is one of those movies that I watched so many times as a kid that I can practically like recite it word for word.
I think we all have that movie. I think for me that's Alice in Wonderland. Like I'm pretty sure like I've got the entire script on that on lock. But yeah, there's just so many quotable moments. It's interesting that there are some coloring differences between the movie and the TV show. Part of it comes from the fact that the show, up till like season 2, was done ink and paint on celluloid, but the seasons 2 and 3 and this movie were done colored digitally. But even the movie has discrepancies between the show's digital coloring. Like,
yeah,
like
SpongeBob is definitely a brighter yellow, and I believe they carried over these more brighter colors into the series starting with season 4.
Yeah, but not all of them, because, like, Squidward's a little more saturated. Now, I'm familiar with this shot inside and out, because if anyone knows rehydrated animation, I did the animation for this bit.
Actually got you that bit, because I was... Like, I believe the guy had contacted me to do some art for it. You can actually find my art in the sequence that's recreating them at Goofy Goobers. There's amongst the various pictures on the frames, you can see my art on there. And he asked me, like, hey, do you know anyone else who wants to, like, fill in for us? Like, we got a couple of extra scenes. And I was like, oh, I know one guy.
Yeah, so depending on your opinion of the fact, you can either thank or blame Joey for me being in the reanimated project.
And, okay, funny story about Perch Perkins here. Like, at the time, Paramount had this rule with the SpongeBob movie, basically saying, like, okay, anything you create for this movie, you can't use in the show because, you know, the show is Nickelodeon, this is Paramount. And so that's why, eventually that rule was removed, and that's why in more recent seasons you see stuff like Goopy Goobers and such.
Yeah, that's true.
They started using Perch Perkins in season 4, but they were like, no, you can't use him, and that's Paramount's character, and then they were just like, what if we make him orange? And so, like, they just made Perch Perkins orange in the show, and to my knowledge, he's still orange in the show. That's something they haven't switched back on.
But a big coloring discrepancy that even, like, the most recent seasons don't do is Plankton here being a much darker green than he ever was. Even in, like, ink and paint, he was never this dark. And, like, in the later movies, in the TV show, and in his current coloring, he's the more proper, kind of a mid, like, bluish green. And a very light and desaturated.
Also, speaking of character differences, this movie marked the first time Karen was drawn, like, as, like, a monitor on wheels. Like, previously in the series, she had always just been a giant monitor on the wall.
That's true. You're right.
Yeah, and started here. They started like using her as a monitor on wheels more often, just so like she could like be more involved with the storylines and such.
I think you could take into like modern Disney trying to be able to critique things versus like Fox and Paramount, whereas like you really get an epitome of corporate greed where the Krusty Krab 2 is just right next door. Like, God.
Like, it's basically Disney's California Adventure.
It's right there. It's another one.
Like, or it's Universal's Islands Adventure. It's right next door.
We got another one. We did it again.
Spend your money twice.
Yep.
Like, here comes, like, Sandy's
only line. And Mrs. Puff's.
Yeah,
there are only lines in the movie.
I kind of feel like I do love this movie, but I can't help but feel like one of the major flaws was that Sandy was given so little to do.
I mean,
and I do understand why, because, you know, it's not really her story, but at the same time, she was one of the major characters of the show.
Too true.
That's one thing I think the newer movies get right, is that they try to give every character a major role, but at the same time, it does kind of feel like they're shoehorned in.
Yeah. There's a person on DeviantArt who was a storyboard artist and particularly worked on this movie, and like you can see a lot of his work and like the and tips and tricks like for the SpongeBob team, and like a lot of his
drawings. I think I know what you're.
Yeah. And a lot of his drawings have, like, birthed a lot of the memes from this movie. And it's really, really great.
He's Sherm Cohen. I hope I'm saying that right, Sherm Cohen. And he's pretty much, like, he was the major SpongeBob guy at the time, so it's natural that his work is all over this film.
And also, 2 whispered lines in a row. If you turn up the audio, you can hear Mr. Krabs actually uttering the word jackass twice in a row. Yeah. and it's pretty funny. It's like, how did they get away with that? I guess this movie was PG, right?
Yeah, it was PG.
So technically,
King Neptune.
So technically, there are a couple of other like lines from King Neptune. We'll get there when we get there. Voiced by Hollywood creep Jeffrey Tambor. Great voice, terrible guy.
Yeah. Maybe there's a reason why he like the movie. So that's why the movie version of King Neptune hasn't shown up.
That's also true. Yeah, the movie, like they already had like a King Neptune, and then they did a different version for the movie because like you can't. And it's like, but it's like the things made specifically for the movie they couldn't use in the show. So why couldn't they use the King Neptune? Maybe there was like 30% of the stuff from the movie they can't have in the show, so they couldn't have Dennis or King Neptune. So if they use King Neptune from the show, he'd be stuck with the rights with Paramount. So they went ahead and decided to go with a new version of Neptune.
Yeah, because specifically, you know, this version of King Neptune has a lot of stuff connected to him. So like it would kind of like tie him down if they use the same version from the show.
Yeah. Also, probably why the Flying Dutchman doesn't make a cameo either. Like, I notice like an absence of his character, but I mean that's kind of hard to do when you know. Straight from denial to depression, yeah. SpongeBob is speedrunning the stages of grief.
Yeah.
Everyone saw your butt, Pat.
Yes.
It's interesting that Paddington's color palette doesn't actually look too different at night, actually making his color look more accurate to the show. It's kind of weird. Also, wanted to point out the last instance of Plankton's having a black outline around his pupil. Not many people would notice or like care about that shit, but you know, I do. Yeah. I love this. This is a great establishing moment for this character. Also, yes, as young Scarlett Johansson, Black Widow, plays Princess Mindy.
Yeah, I'm a bit disappointed they haven't done much with Mindy after this.
But also, like
outside of a brief cameo.
Yeah, but also, like you said, at least before that point, they weren't allowed to use the characters from the movie. Otherwise, they probably would have used her more. Also, SpongeBob does owe a lot to older cartoons, so I love that Neptune and Mindy have little pie-cut eyes. I don't know why, but I feel like that's definitely on purpose. Actually, also, with the little bob cut, and her body shape, she actually is kind of Betty Boop-ish.
Yeah. Yeah, like, King Neptune also looks a bit Fleischer-esque. Like, he does look like he could come out of a Popeye cartoon.
Yeah, actually, what I was gonna say is, like, I'm making so many connections. His nose shape, though turning up instead of down, and his bald head is actually kind of like a gag from the evil queen in Betty Boop and Snow White. I kind of wished I'd showed that cartoon before we started this. I totally didn't. I'm making these connections. It's like... And also, I guess SpongeBob does owe a lot to Popeye as well for the nautical vibes.
Yeah, well, like
and Mr.
Popeye
Krabs and Mr. Krabs,
Tom Kenny's...
and of course, Mr. Krabs' laugh is kind of just a gravelier version of Popeye's laugh.
Popeye is actually Tom Kenny's favorite cartoon, so you know, there's definitely a lot of influence. It's there,
and of course, we got a little. This is, and also, welcome to Chuck E. Cheese, with ice cream instead of pizza. And a guy in a suit instead of a robot.
5 Nights at Goofy Goober's.
And actually, in more of that 30s cartoon vibe, he's got like the knobby knees and the white gloves and everything.
Yeah. And speaking of Popeye, Popeye is actually in this movie. You can actually see an old Pimple Feeder panel in one of the scenes.
I actually see
there's Crazy Cat up on the upper left.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's an old newspaper comic. And the comedy in this movie is so friggin' tight. And there's Popeye. There he is. I never noticed that before.
The first appearance of Popeye.
Yeah, that's the oldest. That's the oldest drawing of Popeye. His design was slightly less refined, and there's another drawing of Popeye, a little headshot.
Yeah.
I love how this movie both understands that these goofballs are very, very kiddie, like they're very childlike in their actions, but they are also adults because here they are at the bar getting wasted on ice cream, but they're getting wasted.
I mean, we don't know what's specifically in that ice cream.
Yeah, but at the same time, I think it's more like drunkenness by way of a sugar crash because I mean, there's children at this venue. But also, like you mentioned, and they are at a bar that is away from the main seating area. So, yeah, we don't really know what's in that.
Well, Chuck E. Cheese did used to have, like, an adult area. So,
yeah.
And Chuck E. Cheese serves beer anyway.
Just getting more and more sloshed. And yeah, I think we've all heard stories or like known people who have been in situations like this. It's like there's I think even this movie might have actually been the birth of like Patrick having one single little tooth in some of his facial God, hungover SpongeBob is properly disgusting.
Yes. Yes, this is where like the Ren and Stimpy influence starts to seep in. I remember specifically as kids, like we would constantly quote like Patrick and this big peanut guy.
I love that they put a slight little texture on his shirt on that close-up, which is nice.
Yeah.
And again, I'm actually catching these details because what I have here is a Blu-ray copy of the movie.
Yeah, this specifically gets quoted a lot. Second swear of the movie coming up.
Yep. It's one damning piece of evidence at the scene of the crime.
I remember when we were kids, my friends and I thought that was so like edgy, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he said damning.
Actually, it's what actually is reminding me of when like Nickelodeon aired Shrek on their channel like a few years ago, and there's like, hey guys, look at this. I can talk. I love to talk. I'm the talkingest damn thing you ever saw. It's like.
And there was also, like, they also censored it because, you know, if they censored out the I have to save my ass to I have to save my donkey.
But there was an airing where they didn't censor it, so. I absolutely love Tom Kenny as the guy. You sold Neptune's crown too. Which is now in Shell City.
Didn't like knew exactly when to call. Like he was like just watching it like, and right now.
Yeah. It's just more like the comedic timing. His eyebrows are even thicker than before. Watson in here just. You know, in like Stephen Hillenburg was a big marine biology guy. Like he looks like dead coral, like with how faded he is. Which would make sense. I think sea sponges are pretty stationary, right? Like typically.
Yeah, they usually don't move.
Yeah, so Sponge on the reef being as faded as the dead coral in the area is like, he definitely did not take care of himself.
Now that I think about it, I think my friends and I just really loved drunk SpongeBob, as we would constantly quote these lines.
Boing. I love that.
Boink.
and yeah, that'll sober you up real quick.
Yeah.
Good grief, he's naked. Also, everybody take a shot for every SpongeBob episode we make outside of this movie.
I do love the fact that, you know, he, out of everything he could have used to cover his head, he chose a paper bag.
It's all he could find. He's a king, and he just uses a giant paper bag.
Yeah. Well, maybe it's hard to find hats his size because he's so large.
Yeah.
Actually, now that I think about it, his size changes a bit from scene to scene in this film. Because he seemed a bit smaller in his first scene.
Animation tends to... Like, look at how, like, pitifully small the Krusty Krab looks just by how high up SpongeBob is, even though the ceiling's technically not that high. Animation's really good at playing with the environment to get across certain emotions. In fact, it's not even necessarily, like, an issue of inconsistency, because real-world cameras can be used to exaggerate angles and, like, perspectives.
I love how this implies that he's killed at least one person every single day.
Oh, man. And everybody wants that SpongeBob plush toy / backpack. He's pretty adorable.
I'm pretty sure they've made at least one plush with that exact expression.
Probably. Either that or, like, the one where he's wearing his swimsuit. Also, can I just say that fucking Dan Lawrence doing the My Eyes bit, like, in general, Mr. Lawrence is, like, pretty much on par with, like, this is a good gag. But that I'd say that Mr. Lawrence rivals, like, maybe even, like, matches Mel Blanc for over-the-top screams.
Yeah, it's actually Doug Lawrence. Doug.
Doug, you're right, Doug Lawrence.
Yeah. And of course, Patrick.
Whoop. Patrick, you can't say that. Patrick, you're an adult. You can't say that. I want to point out that Patrick is blameless. He was just reading the script and following what the director said.
Yeah.
You know, it is also a Betty Boop problem that they don't even address. Like, she's like 16 and, like, they treat her like that. It's like, maybe that does make it a Betty Boop reference.
Oh, jeez. I have an excellent idea. Let's change the subject.
Yeah, moving on. And ultimately, like, the whole fact that SpongeBob ends up driving a vehicle despite not being able to get his driver's license, being a whole thing, and, like, this really does make this movie a culmination of everything the series had built. This is one of his drawings. The guy, I forgot his name, but, like, That's one of his drawings.
Sherm Cohen.
Sherm Cohen, thank you.
You know, like, as SpongeBob says, it's technically not a car, it's a sandwich.
You don't need a license to drive a sandwich. But that's why that's why it's a great culmination, but also subtly kind of allowed the series to continue with the whole driver's ed gags. And I think they do end up having Patrick drive a good amount of the time throughout the movie anyway. Which infers that Patrick does have his driver's license, by the way.
Well, he did get the driver's license in, like, season 4 episode, I think. Season 4 or season 5, I forget the exact one.
Yeah.
I really love how this scene is much more dramatic in tone. Like, specifically the bit where, like, Mr. Krabs, like, sheds that one frozen tear.
Yeah. It really helps this, like, give off a more cinematic tone, you know?
Yeah, like, because Plankton wins, and he wins easily.
He is, like, it only took, like, how many letters in the alphabet? It only took 25 It only took 25 failed schemes for him to get it right. I do like the animation is really good. In terms of things that they just plussed up and made more cinematic for the movie. It's like it matches the quality of the show while also like surpassing it in a way that makes sense for a film.
Yeah, it also doesn't do the common trope where it's just like the show only with more shading.
That's also true. They do have some shading, but it's not so much that it's like more than what the show would do. I'd say that they're at least more inclined to put drop shadows under characters, which is pretty helpful for grounding them in the environment. But even shows that skip out on doing drop shadows usually, like, manage to draw the characters lined up with the background art really well. This is a great... There's a lot of great... Like, is this whole commentary just going to be us saying, there's a bunch of great bits in this movie? I really hope...
I mean, it already kind of is, so... Maybe we should talk about Doug Lawrence for a bit.
Yeah. Because isn't he having a conversation? No, who plays Perch Perkins, actually?
I'll have to look that up, but, I think it might actually be him.
It might be, because he does have a range outside of the, the fucking teeth. What a goober. You might want to watch your phrasing there, bucket helmets. D. Bradley Baker. Oh, you're right. Yeah, D. Bradley Baker. I tend to forget that he does do voice roles, that he does more than just, animals. Because, like, I remember him more as, like, Appa, Momo, Perry the Platypus, Daffy Duck. So it's like, I forget that D. Bradley Baker sometimes does actually voice characters.
Daffy Duck is a character.
And that's the joke. That's the joke.
I love this like drawing where it's just looking at his hands. I still remember when, like, little tidbits of this movie were coming out, and there was like an announcement that saying SpongeBob will have to face Dennis.
See, Scribe, you say Boss Baby, I say Mr. Conductor.
Okay, what? Okay, as I was saying, in the previous, like SpongeBob will have to face Dennis, and like us being super fans of SpongeBob, we thought, did they mean the old guy who like SpongeBob massaged his scalp in the last episode? We seriously thought it was a reference to that, and that like an old man, the old fish, was gonna come and kill SpongeBob. Which would have been funny, but it probably wouldn't have made sense.
At the same time, though, I mean, they recycled the name Dennis, so that counts for something.
Well, back then, they didn't really care about name consistency. At some point, there were like 5 Old Man Jenkins.
Yeah. I think people have said Old Man Jenkins is more like a title, like Santa Claus. It's like there's more than one of them, you know. And yeah, they didn't bring it up earlier, but Paddy Wagon is such a great name for a vehicle. Well, he's dead.
He's still alive.
It is kind of upsetting about the Alec Baldwin situation. That is true, Squad. Unfortunately, at least from what I've heard of the situation, I don't fully blame him. There was a lot of negligence going on for that sort of thing to have happened. I love how sweet Patrick is.
I love how he looks kind of like an ice cream cone here, like an upside down ice cream cone.
What a goober.
A goofy goober.
Also, there's a lot of well-integrated CGI. I haven't talked about it, but the door back there was really well-integrated CGI.
Yeah. Wait a minute, another one of my favorite drawings is coming up with Patrick from this back angle.
The Muppet.
He looks like a Muppet.
Oh god, these faces. I don't think C.H. Greenblatt was doing anything, but those faces back there were kind of look like drawings he would do.
Yeah, they definitely feel chowder-ish.
Yeah.
Good effects on that bubble, by the way, how the colors kind of shine through it.
Yeah, the iridescence on it.
Bar.
Considering we know bubbles can come to life, that's pretty dark. Oh, Squad, don't even.
SpongeBob, it's the Goofy Goober theme song.
I absolutely like. It's always with whenever someone has an eye patch. This has vibes of like the scene from Roger Rabbit, right?
Yeah, like where it's like the shave and the haircut bit.
Even the bad guy, you know, singing the tune to goad him out.
Yeah, which brings up a good point. He's singing the song. Does that make him a goofy goober? Is he secretly a bubble blowing double baby?
Well, I mean.
closeted goofy goobers.
Yep. It's a society like this where we can't just be goofy goobers. Just peeling out.
I'm ugly and I'm proud.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, interesting trivia about Squidward's bike here. That's actually based on Roger Bumpus's bike. He actually owns one of those, like, low riding bikes.
A recumbent, yeah.
Like, and the crew, like, noticed that, like, let's add that in. Maybe that's something Squidward has.
That does make sense. Like, he cares about his lumbar support, especially when he has to stand all day at his job.
Yeah.
Also, probably a reason that Sandy wasn't in this movie more is because she probably would have helped solve a lot of the problems pretty quickly.
Yeah. Which brings up a question: where is Sandy currently? Like, did she like, is he in a tree dome or something? Because
Maybe
we know
this is
she is enslaved at one point.
Yeah, maybe she went to visit her family in Texas for the weekend, because again, SpongeBob and Patrick have 6 days, and then she came back and was instantly enslaved.
Like, what? I've been gone longer than I thought.
That's your SpongeBob SquarePants movie headcanon. Tune in next time when I explain what happened to Gary.
Gary was just eating the couch while this was happening.
Probably.
Yeah, Squidward is kind of stupid here. He could have easily just gone to King Neptune, but he had to go to the jump bucket and rub it in.
It's like he needs someone to know that he's figured it out, and also to let Plankton know, it's like, you don't mess with my paycheck. Kind of like we're unstoppable with Bueno Nacho. You do not mess with Bueno Nacho. It's like there.
I love how, like, they went from comedic to scary so quickly.
Ah, shit. That's a really good drawing. It's just so off. Squidward line was deleted and cut during his talks at the Chum Bucket with a fish girl. And there was a deleted scene on the DVD.
Oh, yeah.
Huh.
Weed about.
Yep, and more death. More death. There's just a lot of death in this movie. Or at the very least, a lot of corpses.
Yeah, like, Stephen Hillenburg said this was, like, this whole area was based on polluted areas of the ocean.
Yeah, dead.
And, like, how they all look faded and how the water is all mucky.
Yeah. Before you think about it for too long. You know, it's like the Patrick with the one tooth kind of made him look babyish in later seasons. I think the drawings in this movie do a better job at not doing that.
Was this also the period where they started giving Patrick an underbite?
Actually, that's part of his original, like, design, going back to the first season, him having an underbite.
Yeah, well, I feel like got much more pronounced in later seasons.
True. True. I think
particularly in the Patrick show, I noticed that.
In the middle seasons, like between Hillenburg leaving and then coming back, they kind of didn't draw his underbite a lot. So this is actually kind of the last time his underbite was seen for a while, I'd imagine. And this being based off a real, very horrifying looking sea creature.
Yeah, the anglerfish. I love these. How Patrick is just like,
he's got his priorities straight. Make sure you get chocolate. Bella, natural selection wouldn't be very kind to you. I'm just gonna say that right now.
It would be kinder to Patrick than it would to SpongeBob.
Yeah, he just wants ice cream. Yep. And just Dennis really just completely owning every person he's come across with so little effort.
Yeah, like, he beat up the toughest character besides him in just one go.
How tough are you indeed?
To my knowledge, he's only cameoed once in the show. Oh, and I think that's just because he would be way too powerful if they made him a recurring villain.
I love those. Those faces are really good too. But
speaking of faces, probably the most famous
yeah.
this movie is about to show up.
And there is always a bigger fish.
Wait for it.
Yeah. And there they are, and here's the real money shot. Right there.
There it is.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I've seen so many meme figures based on Patrick alone.
This gag will never not be funny. Anytime they do it. Anytime anyone does it. It's pretty good.
You know, something occurred to me
face.
because, like, it's near, like, the 6-day limit, so, you know, like, have they been sleeping at all during this time? Like, have they just been sleeping in the paddy wagon?
Probably taking turns driving. That's what a non-stop road trip would probably entail.
Yeah.
God.
Or maybe they just, like, sleep while the paddy wagon is still going. Like, it can drive itself.
I love sad SpongeBob having his nose just point straight down. It really emphasizes his sadness.
Yeah, I remember, like, just reciting the scene because I just love the emotion and the voice, as, you know, performances.
Like, it really points out, like, between both Bill Fagerbacke and Tom Kenny, like
some of the people can do a Patrick impression pretty good, but I don't think they can match the raw emotion Bill Fagerbacke has.
Yeah, the emotion. It's like that's
because there's a difference between just doing a silly voice and voice acting.
Yeah.
Patrick, no.
God. I think that joke was at least a little more innocent. Because like he probably wouldn't even understand the connotations of what he meant by that.
Probably he's just proud of his underwear.
Like, despite his comments earlier, Patrick is a sexless creature.
It specifically mentioned how, there's Sandy.
And there's Mrs. Puff. They only get one line, but at least they're there.
It's a sad moment when you start to realize you're relating to King Neptune.
Ah, God.
Yeah, one thing I noticed is that it always does feel kind of weird whenever, like, there's an attempt to have SpongeBob and Patrick, you know, go on dates or fall in love. You know, they just kind of seem like You know, they don't really need girlfriends or, you know,
they seem
significant
like...
others.
That is the only time we've seen Princess Mindy's ears, and it's weird. Like, just doesn't look right. Probably because maybe because with her green skin and everything, I kind of imagined her either having no ears or little fish fin ears. It's just weird to see her have normal human ears.
You'd think he'd catch up quicker with him going on that motorcycle.
This man is... what's the word? A force of nature. He's a freaking force of nature.
Also, something I just thought of. Couldn't Mindy just drive them to the Show City? Because she has that chariot.
Got a very good point.
Yeah, like, it kind of reminds me of how in the video game adaptation, they have Mindy as sort of like the... She's sort of the money bag, for lack of a better term, because she's constantly like, you need to get a certain amount of Goofy Goober tokens in order to get to the next level. And, like, I'm just thinking, Mindy, people are dying.
Right? Yeah, Bella, where were your comments when we saw the seahorses? Voila, you now have a mortgage. Actually, considering they both own their own property, they technically probably do have a mortgage.
Does Patrick's Rock even count as, like, property?
He has an address, he gets mail, so, yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
Oh my god, I do have a mustache! Oh god. Some of these drawings are just off the wall.
I really wish So still existed at this point, because I would have loved to have a So of, like, these moments.
Yeah. I mean, it'd probably be it would be a print, but yeah.
Be close.
Yeah.
Well, the stairs aren't even there anymore, so they probably just stop at some point.
I mean, they're probably just a little to the left. God. Yep.
Is that a dinosaur, like, skeleton? I just noticed that.
Hey, there were some underwater dinosaurs. That's one of my favorite SpongeBob faces in the movie back there. Pretty good. Da-dum.
Doo-doo. Yeah, this is like just a track from the usual musical library they use from SpongeBob, because, like, this was used as the title music for, like, The Great Snail Race.
Ah.
And
then they wrote words to it.
Add lyrics to it. Yeah.
And I love the old-timey boxer stuff. That was, again, between that, having the photos of Popeye at the nut bar, and, like, the pie cut eyes and Betty Boop vibes of Mindy and her father, it's like there's a lot in this movie that's got, like, a lot of old-timey vibes. It's very funny, is like,
it's weird how, like, they're all instantly impressed with them scrapping their knees.
They're hand boning. Skip it up, skip it up.
Yeah. It's always weird to see SpongeBob and Patrick in profile, because, you know, their designs do not lend well to those angles.
Yeah. some animated characters look really weird in head-on shots. Some characters look really weird in profile. I think it's SpongeBob and Patrick who look weirder in profile than they do in head-on shots. They actually look pretty good in head-on angles.
Yeah. I love how they're not even angry. They're just kind of sad.
They're
like,
kind of
aw.
And
Remember, like, every so often when I'm doing, like, image searches of this movie, there's actually a shot from a deleted scene where SpongeBob and Patrick with the mustaches, and SpongeBob holds up the calendar, like, and we made it just in time! There was going to be one more calendar shot.
There is. Yeah. But yeah. I remember I also liked, like, the animator who did the, now that we're finally shot, you know, because I liked how they interpreted
also,
that
really
image.
interesting details, since, you know, we're about to go into Show City, you notice there's a lot more realistic detail in the background.
That is true, a lot more of that, like, driftwood, the anchors.
Yeah, it just kind of gives you the message that we're getting out of cartoon territory.
Yep.
There's still a little bit of that cartoon.
Like having the street
there.
with the yellow line down the middle.
Yeah. I mean, he might be.
He is a... Actually, most fish kind of have this human body form. You know, very specific about stepping on the... Like, SpongeBob stepped on plankton at the start of the movie, if you think about it.
Yeah. It's my revenge.
Yep.
Yeah, and I love this read line from Dennis. Like, this only hurt a lot.
Woo! Yep. This really is a tone setter.
Apparently, Dennis was voiced by Alec Baldwin.
I mean, you knew that,
Weird.
right?
Yeah, I don't think I did.
Oh, well, there's always first time to learn.
I know more about cartoon celebrities than I do actual real life celebrities. I could say.
Alec Baldwin does kind of fall into the role. It's one of the reasons I kind of like him in it as well.
Also, great costume design on the Cyclops here.
Yeah. It's like you hear about the Cyclops and then you see it's a diver in a suit. It's like it's that aha moment. And also, especially if you're a kid in the audience, oh no.
And there's also, like, you mentioned the CGI earlier. That's really good CGI when the perspective is changing as he walks.
That's true, like the way they're able to manipulate the background art in 3 dimensions. And also...
Another interesting detail, once they're in the real world, their, color palette is much more paler.
Well, at least for the moment, in this darker moment. Like, when they get outside, it gets a little brighter.
I always found it weird that they, the psychic wall of psychic energy, that inspired a song during the movie credits.
Yeah. Kind of wild.
Yeah, of all the things you could base a song on, why that one quote?
Probably because of how it relates to fish.
I was I remember when my friends and I saw that movie, they were like, "Oh, it's Mr. Puff."
I love all the over-animated frames of their shivering in that moment. It's really, really good.
I just love the fact that the Cyclops just wears the outfit all the time. He never takes it off.
It's It's part of the store's gimmick.
Only this movie can make glue and Google eyes seem threatening.
Yeah. And this is such a... It's like, you could think... The Patrick only addresses it as soon as he's been picked up. You see, as soon as they're out of the water, they're actually a little more brightly colored. I think that color was to mimic the glass in front of them, probably.
Yeah. And immediately afterwards, he goes to take a shit.
Yeah, you know, gotta go to the little diver's room. Yeah.
And I just love this scene. I know a lot of this commentary has been like, oh, I love this moment, but this is really just a highlight here.
Yeah. It's like, it really makes it feel like this is their biggest wacky nautical, nonsensically nautical adventure they've had. I'm sorry, him saying that when he looks like shriveled up like a fucking raisin. A big pink prune.
And I do love that, you know, everyone kind of put SpongeBob and Patrick down throughout the whole series. And,
yeah, you
know, this is the one moment where they kind of realize, they kind of think maybe they're right.
Yeah. Hmm.
And this is such a clever twist here. The fact that So Shitty isn't a city, but it's a gift shop.
Yeah. And there it is.
And only for $7.
Damn.
For a two-dimensional crown.
I mean, hey, that's a hell of a find. Well, I mean, that's the thing. Technically, two-dimensional cartoon characters are three-dimensional. You just only look at them. You can only see them from one angle.
Because...
Yeah. That's a great moment.
I remember this sequence always, like, kind of creeped me out as a kid because, to me, the most horrifying thing that could happen to a cartoon character is them turning into live action.
Oh, yeah.
And unfortunately, that's what studios are doing with most animation nowadays. Thinking cartoon hell.
Yeah. And I also appreciate that they actually made the costumes for them.
Yeah, like
and also as a little nod to the show about how they appeared when they were on dry land.
Yeah. And the pirates are crying. And everyone else is just kind of like, eh. But the pirates are super invested. And that's Stephen Hillenburg's cameo. He does the parrot.
Nice.
Which is maybe Potty? Like,
I mean, it kind of sounds like the same voice as Potty as well.
Yeah, but he's obviously not a puppet.
True, again, because they went in a different direction away from the Patchy thing, but they still decided to keep the parrot. Maybe they wrote the script with Patchy in mind, so they just swapped out nameless pirate.
Woo. I love how the color slowly fades back in.
Yep, and then pop into reality.
And Patrick makes sure his crotch is moist.
Yeah. Good night, everybody. Uh-oh. And the dedication to the consistency of everything.
Yeah.
He's holding the 2D crown, the 2D characters.
I don't know how they're swimming through the air, though.
And they were actually a mariachi band.
Yeah, of
That's a
course.
nice punchline.
Yeah. And I love how they all turn back into tunes.
Yep.
Oh.
Making us knickknacks and sundries, eh? We'll make knickknacks and sundries out of you yet. And that's some really good integration. It's really, really good.
Yeah, it really does feel like he's being attacked.
Yep.
Okay, so do you want to talk about the deleted scene that was going to be in here?
Something about, like, Sandy being here and she'd be, like, a big, giant... That's probably one of the reasons they cut her as well. They wanted to have her appear like a realistic squirrel, but, like, either the puppets that they would make would be too expensive or the CGI wasn't convincing enough. Whatever the reason,
I still
they opted out.
wish that made it into the movie where... you know, like, Sandy is like, I'd come with you, but I'm on an adventure of my own. And then the secret agents show up, and they're like, we're moving out the squirrel. And like, it feels like there's a whole other movie that they could have done just with Sandy on this big epic adventure.
Probably.
And I kind of wish that was the Sandy Cheeks movie we ended up getting. Because I'm like, I want to see that movie. What was?
Look at that! Look at the integration. Speaking of convincing CGI, the way that they get the real world elements to interact with the cartoon characters.
Yeah, that's something I feel is missing from a lot of like CG, a lot of like live action animation hybrids nowadays. They keep trying to like keep the live action stuff and the animation stuff not as interactive.
Yeah, which is literally the exact opposite of what you need to integrate it. And CGI has gotten so convincing that you can make CGI props that the characters can hold on to. But of course, I think you still need to like do half and half. You need to split it down the middle.
Yeah, I don't like Looney Tunes Back in Action did that a lot with the characters handling CGI pop, and it looked terrible.
Take a shot.
Yeah, so like every March 14th, this image trends.
You might want to be careful. You might want to beware, Plankton. Tomorrow, the Ides of March. Fucking.
This is the dummy of David Hasselhoff, by the way. Yeah, it's kind of fun to spot like when it's actually Hasselhoff and when it's the dummy.
Yeah.
Yeah, here's the dummy here.
Yep.
Which is much larger than the actual Hasselhoff.
Yeah.
I think all the water here is CGI, I believe.
Well, that's real water.
Well, obviously there it's not. Anything involving the dummy is specifically CGI water.
No, some of that looks like it's actually real water. They're just playing it. They're just playing.
Well, maybe they green screened it.
Yeah. I mean, you got to do that. I mean, you either blue screen it or you rear project it. Either way, you get a pretty decent effect. He's got him set up at a target. Yep.
Andrew doesn't even seem to like think to interrupt him. He just kind of like, well, I'll let this pass.
I mean, lest he get in the way. I mean, lest he like face Neptune's wrath directly.
Apparently, this dummy was covered in yak hair.
Ooh.
Ooh, that's kind of hard.
Yeah, pretty much any instance of, like, CGI elements of the real elements are, like, when they interact directly with the cartoon character. Woo. I mean, like, even for a creature his size, that didn't look that far. Whoop.
I do love how, you know, SpongeBob kind of almost took him out thanks to being a kid.
Yeah.
Keyword being almost.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's the dummy version of Hasselhoff.
The fact that they had animatronic or puppet elements to it, that's pretty funny.
Yeah, especially since that's the only instance where they use it. Nowadays, I feel like if they made this, they would have made Hasselhoff CGI.
They would have
for those
CGI'd.
kids.
Either CGI'd
Which would have
him,
been-
blue, like, green screened the real Hasselhoff in it the whole time, or even a combination of both.
Yeah, though I feel the animatronic dummy version is just funnier.
Yeah. Yep. And more of that.
I'm pretty sure that's stop motion there. Oh, that's kind of freaky there.
Yeah. I think there's a little CGI warping on it too, a la Jim Carrey's The Mask. God, Plankton's faces. Whoop! Whoop!
And that's his reward. Bye to a crisp.
Poor guy. And now he's smiling somehow.
Yeah.
Good bits.
Makes you wonder why he doesn't try to like slowly move out of the Krusty Krab.
Patrick, stop it.
And the slow clap.
Yep. Oh, shit. Yeah.
Daddy!
and the face.
Like, they knew what they were doing.
Yeah. Oof.
I know I wish supervillains in real life cheated.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Ha. The drone.
I also love this speech here.
Yeah.
It really encompasses who SpongeBob is as a character.
Just the comedic delivery, the writing, and the animation. Everything comes together to make this such a really, really, really good. Phrasing, SpongeBob.
Yeah, and here comes the, Deus Ex the biggest Deus Ex Machina ending of them all.
I mean, if you line it up with...
How did...
I mean, technically, if you line it
How
up
does
with...
this happen?
Yeah.
Yeah, you were saying?
If you line it up with the power of the tear of the Goofy Goober, this was kind of foreshadowed when you think about it.
But where does he get epic rock powers, though? It's one of those things where it's like, it makes absolutely no sense, but because it's SpongeBob, you just kind of roll with it.
It's nautical nonsense, and it's something we wish.
Dropped up, and he's dropping on the deck and flopping like a fish.
There he is. And, of course...
For the movie, they cut that scatting bit out, and that always disappointed me because that's some damn good scatting.
It is a good bit.
And SpongeBob's grabbing his crotch now.
I think Plankton says it perfectly. That's a nice little sub shot in there. Very nice SpongeBob gag.
I was shocked to find out this was a parody of a different song.
Yeah.
Like, right, you mean this wasn't made for the movie? With the song, but it does exist.
You got that right, Plankton. Well, that was your fault for not fail-safing them for this level of rock and roll. You gotta test for these things.
Now, interesting trivia about that line. In the video game version, Plankton straight up says, "Neptune, I command you to kill SpongeBob."
Yeah.
Here it was just like, "I command you to blank."
And then he just gets cut off.
It's like, I guess using the K word was just too much for Nickelodeon.
I mean, for all the times it's used in this movie, saying kill SpongeBob was their bridge too far, I guess. Institution for the criminally tiny.
I'm wondering if he ever escaped jail after this.
I mean, season 4 happened, didn't it?
Well, we don't see the Krusty Krab 2. There's a lot of debate over whether or not this is, like, meant to be the series finale.
I mean, it was, definitely. But of course, Nickelodeon had the rights. They didn't let the show die, and for better or worse, SpongeBob is and was one of the greatest cartoons to ever be released.
That human version of Mr. Krabs is so weird.
It's pretty cursed.
Mr. Krabs forgives him very easily.
Well, I mean, are you gonna argue with the king of the ocean, lest he try to execute you again?
Yeah.
Patrick's still in the fishnets. Yeah, this is all a great moment.
Yeah, even Squidward admits that SpongeBob deserves it.
Yeah.
Which is a rarity from him.
Well, he did save his paycheck.
Yeah. Which doesn't make sense because he doesn't wear pants.
And then we get...
Yeah, Steven!
Man, what a delight. What a just a purely off-the-wall, nautically nonsensical comedy cartoon movie. I was like, I said this all the way back at like the Migration review, but there are animated features and cartoon movies, and this is a cartoon movie, unabashedly slapstick. No rules. Like, characters can get squashed and beat and have the snot beat out of them and survive explosions. It's like that is the epitome of a cartoon movie, and it works. You never. And the lead storyboard artist Sherm Cohen, like we said, like absolutely stellar work on the designs of plenty of the scenes in this movie. And a fucking
and
chimney
I just
sweep.
noticed it's the giant manager hat. That might be a reference to Squid on Strike, where like Squidward says, "You'll have your job back and more," and SpongeBob is like, "And more?" And the one thing he wanted was like just a bigger hat. So he eventually got that bigger hat.
He got his hat.
So character arc. He just wanted a bigger hat.
In order of appearance: Tom Kenny, Clancy Brown, Roger Bumpus. Wait, no, in order of... Oh, yeah, that's right, the dreams. I forgot about the dream sequence for a minute there. Jill Talley as Karen.
Bill Pedro-Baggy.
Carolyn Lawrence as Sandy. Mary Jo, Kedlet, and all of these people... Oh, okay, except you. Except you, Jeffrey. All these people, just wonderful actors, absolutely. Squinty, Bonesy, Scruffy,
Squinty the pirate.
Stitches, Captain Bart, Inky, Tiny, Upper Deck, Fingers, Tangles, Gummy, Leatherbeard, Tango Pokey, Cookie, Martin, Sniffy, Salty, Stovepipe, Doobie, Usher, Concession Guys, Tom Kenny again, D. Bradley Baker, all those, good lord. And all
D. Bradley Baker played most of the people in this movie.
And Neil Ross doing the voice of the Cyclops.
Voice of the parrot, Steven Hillenberg.
Yep. God rest his soul.
And a lot of the people here you see in the credits, they would later be some of the major writers and producers on the future episodes of SpongeBob and also some of the future spin-offs.
Writers, producers, directors, all that jazz.
Yeah. Kaz pretty much went on to as one the head guy on the Patrick Star show.
Ah. Nice.
And I believe it was I forget who it was, but one of the story editor of this movie went on to do the third SpongeBob movie. He was the director of that. And there's a lot of a lot of people who went on to do big things.
Yep. And hey.
And for Rough Draft Studios.
Yep. I'm gonna say it. The animation in this movie is top tier. I think between this and I'd say like Teen Titans Go to the movies. I think in terms of a television adaptation of a cartoon that has the animation pretty close to just the quality that it is in the show, just plussed up a little bit. I feel like the quality of animation that we can anticipate from movies in theaters is something that's all a matter of perspective, and really just appreciate good art when it's being presented to us. And this is...
I think it also helps that, in this case, they had a lot of the layout done in-house.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like the main battle poses. So there's a lot of collaboration on there.
You have a lot of the people who worked on the show, like, setting up this stuff and, like, doing the art for a lot of the sequences. It's like, you never really fully understand what a drafting artist or, like, a board artist or a layout artist does until you realize that your favorite facial expressions in an episode come from those people, or even in this movie from your lead storyboard artist, and they just polish up these drawings, and then the animator's like, that's funny, I'm just gonna literally trace that and like have that be the root of this sequence. And it's like, and of course Steven Hillenburg, a really good director, you know, like knowing where your funniest moments truly lie. And the editor, like, it's like, as far as like animation editing is a very different beast, especially when you got 2D going on, because usually what you'll have is you'll have your shots, you'll have the order they're supposed to go in, and then basically I imagine most of what you have to do as an animator or as an editor for animation is get your sound effects and music and dialogue, you know, mixed properly and all that. So the color compositing. Also got to give credit to the integration of live action and 2D.
Yeah, which is something I miss. Like, I know we got a lot of animation in, like, combined with live action, but that's all computer animation. There's something more magical about it when it's 2D characters.
I think there's something really magical about it when there's just the treatment that there's nothing really strange about it, but the character is obviously less real. It's like, It's the Muppet effect, you know? It's like these characters who are obviously not like the real guys, but, you know, they're not real people, but it's like you still have that, like, you know, that sense of them being there because they're being treated on the same level as the human actors. Also, Alex Borgnine.
The Best Day Ever.
And this song, this is
The
where
Best
this
Day
song
Ever.
came
This
from.
was a song written by Tom Kenny himself.
Yeah. It's a really great.
Pretty much become like the most iconic SpongeBob song next to the theme song itself.
The theme song, which aside from the utterances of SpongeBob's name, is literally just blow the man down when you really look at it. Like, the melody is literally ripped from the classic Sea Shanty, and dedicated to Jules Engel. Aww.
Who they aren't sure if he was born in 1909. Might have been born in 1909.
We're not sure.
We don't know.
That's what he always said. Did he not have a driver's license? Yeah. And a nice little post-credits tag.
He's such a wimp about it. Like, well, okay.
Yep.
As someone who used to work in a movie theater, I relate to this. Like, you know, people just making a total mess of the floor.
Yeah, I've seen some of the horrible things, especially with the big premieres. Yeah, it's like, God.
Yeah, make sure to throw away your popcorn, folks.
Yep. That was the SpongeBob SquarePants movie. And a good one after 20 years and in the next 20 years it'll still stand up as the best SpongeBob SquarePants movie. Like if it is the best out of all, I guess 4. As long as we're not counting as long as we're not counting 45-minute TV specials like Dunces and Dragons, I guess. I guess you'd only stick to the theatrical release. As far as theatrical, Sandy Cheeks movie, out of all 4 SpongeBob movies, yeah, this one will stand the test of time as the SpongeBob SquarePants movie. Any final things to say?
Now let's see. Final things to say. I just feel like, this is the best Nickelodeon movie. It's the best SpongeBob movie. It's the best movie based on a TV show. It just, nailed what it was trying to do. And, I just remember this movie came right at the right time because I think I was 12 when this movie came out. So I was kind of, going through that transition from kid to teenager. And it was there was that bit of do I have to give up the things I love? And SpongeBob was like, no, you can still be a kid at heart.
Exactly.
Or that doesn't make you any less of a grown person.
Yep.
And as you get older, or you're still able to handle good things.
Yeah.
You're still able to handle big things and big tasks. You're just a little different.
Yep. You're a little
and
older.
That's kind of what SpongeBob means to me.
Yeah, you're a little older, you're a little wiser, but you still have the same spirit you did. And
after 20 years, I'm still a goofy goober.
Yeah.
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 You're a goofy goober.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're all goofy goobers.
Yeah. Goofy goober. Yeah. All right, and that's I guess, and that's an excellent place to leave it. So next week it'll be Thanksgiving, and we'll have to go back in time to the first Thanksgiving to get turkeys off the menu. But until then,
you're going back to the first Thanksgiving to get turkeys off the menu?
That's right. We're going back in time to the first Thanksgiving to get turkeys off the menu. But anyway, until then, thank y'all so much for joining us. If you're viewing this after the fact, thanks for watching. And remember to take care, stay safe, and be kind in all that you do. Good night, everybody!
Bye.
All right.